My parents have always favored my little brother. I worked for everything I had. He got it handed to him. When I confronted them about the college fund, my dad told me to move out. So I picked up my phone and I recorded the next conversation. Full story right now. I'm 18. I'm taking a gap year working full time to save for community college because my parents never once mentioned saving for my tuition. My brother, 3 years younger than me, got a car as a birthday present. I worked part-time to buy my first car myself. He got the newer clothes, the better phone, the more recent gaming system. I was not unloved, but the difference was visible to everyone every day. I had mostly made peace with it by the time I turned 18. It was just how things were. And then I heard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I walked past the living room and caught my parents mid-conversation. They were talking about how much they were going to put towards my brother's college tuition. Specific numbers, a specific plan. I stood around the corner and I listened. I did not hear my name once. I walked into the room. I asked point blank why they were planning to pay for his college but not mine. They said he needed more help. I asked what that meant. Neither of us had scholarships lined up, so why is he the only one who needed more? They didn't answer that. I kept asking and I kept pushing. My father looked at me and said, and I'm going to say this slowly because I want you to hear it. He goes, "Maybe it's time you moved out. We're tired of keeping a roof over your head." I reminded him that I pay rent. He did not respond to that. I left the room. I went upstairs and I pulled out my phone and I made a decision. The next time we sat down together, my phone was face down on the table recording. I asked calm, direct questions. Why was I expected to fund my own education while my brother was being planned for? Why had this always been the pattern? My dad gave me answers, honest ones, more honest than he probably would have been if he'd known the phone was on. After that conversation, I did something I had never done before. I posted it. Both social media accounts. I wrote a caption explaining what had been going on for years, and then I went to bed. I woke up to 200 notifications. The post had reached my grandparents, my aunt, my cousins, people I hadn't heard from in years. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was my grandmother. The day after that, my grandparents showed up at the house with most of the family. My parents had no idea they were coming. My parents were asked to sit on the couch. And for the first time in my memory, my father had absolutely nothing to say. My grandfather stood in the middle of the living room and told me something I had never known. For years, he and my grandmother had been sending my parents a monthly payment to help with household expenses, and specifically to build equal college savings for the both of us. Both. Equally. That money had been redirected entirely to my brother's fund for years. My brother looked like he didn't know what to do. He sided with the family. He said he noticed how I was treated, and that actually meant something to me. My grandfather looked at my dad and said, "I raised you better than this. I've never been more disappointed in you in my life. If you ever retaliate against her for what she's posted, I will disown you." My father backed down. He did not say another word. My grandmother offered me their guest room. My grandparents came back the following Saturday with a moving truck. My mother cried and said my dad didn't mean it when he told me to leave. Then she said that they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund, which confirmed out loud in front of everybody exactly what the situation was. I was being kept around for income going towards a fund that was never going to include me. My dad got in the way of the movers. I reminded him he told me to move out, so I was. My grandfather stepped in front of him, and that was the end of that. I said goodbye to my brother. It was awkward. We hugged. We cried a little. I told him none of this was his fault. Then I got into my car, waved, and drove away. And in my grandparents' guest room now, it's smaller than my old room. It's the most peaceful I have felt in years. They cook dinner every night. They ask about my work and my plans, and they treat me like I belong there, which it turns out I do. Wow. The rent money, she was being charged rent at 18 in her own parents' house, and that rent money was being funneled to a college fund for her brother. Now, I am a parent with a son who is in his 20s, and he gives me money to help out, but I would never charge him rent. Like, holy cow. This is not an oversight on them. This is a system they built on purpose and maintained for years while she thought it was just how things were. That totally sucks. And then grandfather walking in and just ending it in the living room with a moving truck. Like, props to grandfather in front of everybody, just putting his son in his place. And I don't blame him for doing what he did. And good on her for moving out and being with the family members that actually appreciate her for who she is. Well, that's it for this particular story. Follow me for more full stories every single time I post here. I do this on the daily. And in this video, you have seen a ton of different coloring pages. Those are from my coloring books. You can find the link in bio. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please follow along for the daily full story Reddit shenanigans. I'll see you guys on the next video.